Hi friends! Yesterday for math we learned how to tell time digitally and with our analog clock. So with our clock that has a face and has the numbers in a circle, and we learned that our big hand always points to the 12. Very good. And to tell time for right now, you just look at the little hand and see what it's pointing at. So right now it's 7 o'clock. And remember I said for when we see digital, it's the number that the little hand is pointing at with the dot and the 00. So you're going to be doing an activity that is just like the one you did yesterday, only you'll be circling the clock instead of the time. So you'll circle one of these instead of the time. So we're going to jump right into that. So see, we have 2 clocks for each time. So this one says it's 9 o'clock. So I'm going to put this one right up here. Okay, so they want us to figure out 9 o'clock. So what number does our little hand have to point at for it to be 9 o'clock? This is 7 o'clock. What does our little hand have to point at? Yeah, it needs to point at the 9. So we need to find the one that looks like this. So looking at it, we have this one, which is pointed to the 5. And then we have this one, which is pointing at the 9. Very good. So you're going to circle the one that looks just like this, where it's pointed at the 9 for 9 o'clock. The next one, I'm going to do the one right next to it. What number is that, friends? Yeah, that's a 3. So it's going to be 3 o'clock. So we need our little hand to point at the 3. Very good. So Mrs. Cleese is going to make her clock look like 3 o'clock. Here we go. Our big hand's always pointing at the 12, and our little hand, most importantly, needs to be pointing at the 3. So it should look like this. So out of those 2 clocks, you need to find the one that's pointing at the 3. So if we look at it, here it says 3 o'clock. This one, that's not pointing at a 3, that's pointing at a 6. But this one's pointing at a 3 and looks exactly like my clock. So you're going to circle this one, friends, okay? And we're going to do one more together. So this one says 1 o'clock. So what number, if it's 1 o'clock, what number does our little hand have to point at? It has to point at 1. Very good. So big hand's at the 12, and our little hand's at the 1. Very good. So it needs to look like this. See how our little hand's pointing at the 1. So now, pulling our sheet, this clock is pointing at the number 7. And this one is pointing at the number 1. And we need it for 1 o'clock. So you're going to circle this one, the one that says 1 o'clock. And then you're going to go through and find the one that says 2 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Okay? And remember, whatever o'clock it says, if it's 2 o'clock, your little hand's going to point at the 2. If it's 6 o'clock, your hand's going to point at the 6. So always look for that little hand because the other hand's always pointed at the 12. So keep an eye on where that little hand is pointing. That's where the little hand needs to point. So if it says 5 o'clock, your little hand needs to be on the 5. So keep your eye on this little hand. All right, thank you so much for joining me, friends.